Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back. It is exactly 8:55 a.m. We're moving along on news and views right here on Salam Media, and we're now going to be talking with Muhammed Zaid Rodgers. He is from the Righteous Hands Foundation, and they are putting out a very, very strong call, and that is demanding action against the US veto power and support for global peace. Assalamu alaikum to you, Muhammad. Welcome to the program.
Wa
Mohammed,
alaikum
Salaam
salam wa
alaikum.
rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, can you
How are
hear me
you?
loudly?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, welcome. How did this all come about? Would you say that your foundation decided because South Africa has taken Israel, apartheid Israel, to the ICJ, that there is room for a call like this as well?
We do believe so, yes. We are quite a rather small organization. We are rather new, but our team are quite expertise in this field. And we do have very learned people who have dealt with many such organizations in the past, and also members who were part of South Africa's court case at the ICJ against the Israel regime. Who were the lawyers and attorneys there, who were the representatives of South Africa, and also part of the South African Department of International Relations. And through our communication with them, we have deemed it possible. It's quite a far reach, a long shot, but nothing is impossible, and this is a stance we have taken.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Do you come from a legal background yourself?
Um, Quite astonishingly, no, I have just finished up my high school career a few days ago.
Subhanallah. You speak with deep wisdom. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide you always on the path of righteousness. Let's look at what the call is. Who are the organizations that you're going to put this information out to? And what are your expectations regarding this call? And that is for the reform demanding action against US veto powers.
The organizations which we are working with, firstly and foremostly, they are quite a numerous amount. We started this campaign about a week back, and up to date, we have reached a number of approximately 40 organizations which have joined the cause. And with regards to the organizations which will be handing the documentation into to secure the implementation and procedures of this endeavor and this mission, the mission going forward would be that once the documentation is all completed and we have secured the necessary amendments and ensured that everything is whole and complete within the document, it will then be handed over to the United Nations bodies within South Africa, as well as the South African government and the embassies within South Africa to push for a more global stance where they would take these documents and convey it to the respected governments and countries to get them on board with this initiative as well. Um, with regards to the reforms which we are calling for, we do have quite a few resolutions which we have put forward within our document. Some of them being firstly the removal of the USA from permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council, or the revoking of their veto powers while remaining a permanent member. Secondly, the reshuffling of permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, where, as we know, we do have non-permanent members who are implemented every 2 years. There are elections which take place, and new countries are placed there every 2 years. And as for the permanent members, their nations are represented there permanently. Now, the resolution we put forward is that perhaps once every 5 or 6 years, the permanent membership is shuffled amongst other members of the United Nations representatives and countries. Thirdly, we have the option of the complete dissolving of the veto powers within the UNSC, where permanent members would remain permanent members with increased influence, but there would be no veto powers to block any resolutions which are brought forward. Fourthly, we have the reconstructing of procedures and requirements for vetoes, where the amount of votes which are in favor of a certain resolution can cause a veto to be discarded if they are overwhelming against the veto. And this would also include, with regards to the reconstruction of the procedures and requirements for veto, that perhaps there could be a resolution put into place where the vetoes could only be used if the permanent member has their own interests at stake. Another procedural amendment or adjustment which could be made is that there should be more um, publicity and accountability for vetoes, where permanent members which give or implement their vetoes, make usage of the vetoes, would be required to fulfill an obligation of explaining the usage of the veto and their reasoning behind it. And this would need to be published on all UNSC platforms and also be made available to the media to give their inputs and publishing it as well. However, we do not expect from the United Nations for this reform with regards to these mentioned resolutions to be implemented, as it is quite evident that the United Nations is a product of the United States of America due to their constant silence and implementation of America's policies. However, it has also been made quite evident and clear within our document that if the matter is not addressed, further action would be taken. And we have mentioned of protests of individual and independent sanctions from organizations and companies and businessmen, etc. However, one which has not been stated in the document, due to it still being in the early ages, is that if the issue is not addressed and taken forward, then we would be forced to approach the International Criminal Court of Justice.
Okay. You say that you act under Article 6 of the UN Charter as well as many other UN regulations, which the USA, as we all know, have openly gone against and completely disregarded. So, do you have confidence that, they might sit up and take notice regarding this call for the reformation regarding vetoes? Um, and a lot of people, a lot of organizations, a lot of countries around the world, particularly third world countries, do view, and activist groups around the world view the United Nations as an organization without teeth. And you yourself have expressed not much confidence that maybe, you'll get some recognition regarding this call by your organization. How would this new case that you then take to the ICC look? How will it be different from the first case regarding um, apartheid Israel being called out for their genocide on Palestine?
With regards to that, we do have quite a bit of documentation, quite a bit of evidences and proofs of the United Nations disregard for the of the United States of America, rather the disregard for the UN Charter, and as well as international law. However, these documents are still being compiled due to it being in the early stages, rather. And this would only be our second route to take it to the ICJ. However, I will just point out a few of them, as this part would be quite confidential, as we would not like it to get out to the public before, or rather to the opposition before we take the case forward if it comes to that point. Um, some of the UN charters or articles which the USA has gone against would include um, Article 24 of the UN Charter, where it states that, and as you'll notice, I'm looking down quite a bit and I'm reading it off a page due to um, the um, authentication of the article to ensure that I do not change any words or whatever it may be, that it is exactly as it is within the UN Charter. Article 24.1 states that in order to ensure prompt and effective action by the United Nations, its members confer on the Security Council primary responsibility for the maintenance of international peace and security, and agree that in carrying out its duties under the responsibility, the Security Council acts on their behalf. And then, with regards to the obvious proofs of the United Nations going against this, it has been made quite evident, not just in recent times, but throughout the history of the United Nations Security Council, that the United States has never been and never will be a nation for peace or a nation for humanity. That is what they claim to be. They claim to be the bearers of the flag and on the forefront of fighting for humanity and peace and justice, etc. But this is
Okay,
all
Muhammad, let
clearly
me
false.
just come in here. Let me come in here.
Yes.
In your correspondence, you also say that it should be made clear that if action is not made or taken, which you alluded to just now, the UN would become void of any value. It would lose reputation and image among the people and working class citizens of every country in the world. It would show them as incapable of doing what is necessary. To me, it seems like, in South Africa, we often make reference to media and politicians and government being captured. Do you not get the same sense that the UN has been captured by the superpowers of the world?
We do have that opinion in mind as well. And that is why we have included that clause in there to make them aware that due to their being captured by the superpowers of the world and due to them being basically enslaved by the UN Charter to the superpowers of the world, having no authority over them or not being able to practice that authority over them, we have made it clear that if this superiority of the superpowers of the world influences their ruling, then action will be taken against the United Nations in our own capacity as the citizens of the world and as organizations which stand for humanity, for justice, and which stand against the oppression of superpowers such as the United States of America.
Okay, so obviously this is going to be citizens of the world that you are actually calling out to. And I have no doubt in my mind that you will have tremendous support from the street, so to speak. And I think it's a very commendable effort on the part of Righteous Hands Foundation. Some people may be a bit skeptical about you making headway in this direction, but I believe that every action, no matter how minute or no matter how impossible other people may perceive it to be, I think every little action does and will count. So keep up the great work. Really, we do salute you and the rest of the people involved in this action. And hopefully we will talk again sometime in the future for you to update us as to the progress of this. Thank you indeed, Muhammed Zaid Rodgers, Righteous Hands Foundation. Go well. Allah be with you and with everybody fighting the good fight for not only the Palestinians, but for all oppressed people all around the world. Assalamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It is 9:09 News and Views on Salam Media, and of course, lots of interesting things being thrown around this morning. Our next guest is also an activist. He was a political activist back in the day. He is now a social activist and still making still making deep inroads as far as social activism is concerned. He is Imran Muqaddam. He is based in Elsa's River in the Western Cape, and he's going to be talking about violence in the Western Cape. So do stay with us for those horrific statistics.
We are here in the middle of a Zahra neighborhood. The whole neighborhood is already destroyed. More than 17 towers are down. Here, as you can see, the firefighters trying their best to help. The people are still under the rubble. A lot of the people
Join Hamza on his exclusive South African tour as he shares his personal experiences, never before seen footage, and powerful insights on the ongoing genocide in Gaza. This is more than just a talk. It's an invitation to witness Gaza through the lens of Hamza Sha'alan. Don't miss this opportunity to meet the photojournalist who brought Gaza's pain and perseverance to the world in its darkest moments. Follow Salam Media on social media pages for more on this tour and be part of the conversation.